The Weddings by Annabel podcast. This is the whys, not just the whats, behind weddings. Based in the UK's Cumbria and the Lake District, me and others invite you to join a conversation about the highs and lows, the delights and the concerns faced by anyone planning a wedding. Welcome to the Weddings by Annabel podcast. Yay! This is episode 12. I can't believe it. And the final one for the series. And we're going to go out in a bang because I have the wonderful Juliet Golding here, who is a celebrant based up near me, up in the north end of Cumbria. And yeah, today we're going to talk all things ceremony. So Juliet, give me a big hello, please.
Hello. Well, hello, everyone.
Yay.
To you.
So, Juliet, let's start with, tell whoever's listening, who the hell are you?
Right. Well, I'm Juliet Golding, and I'm an independent celebrant, which is something I've been doing for a few years. I take weddings, funerals, naming ceremonies, basically helping couples and families mark different rites of passage.
Lovely. A bit of everything.
Yeah, coming into the world, joining families together, or if they're exiting the world. That's what a celebrant does.
Nice. And I know that you flipping love your job too.
Which I'd have to pinch myself. I can't believe that I actually get paid to do what I do. And I think a lot of people in the wedding business think that, don't they?
Yeah.
It is such an incredible privilege to be part of a couple and a family's most special day. It's an absolute privilege. It's amazing.
And you know what I really like is the fact that a wedding revolves around joy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like everybody wants it to go well.
They do.
It's not a test. It's not a presentation. Everybody rallies together to go, right, let's just make sure that we all have a great time.
Yeah, yeah. There's a poet called Donna Ashworth, who I use often in my work. She's a relatively new poet. She has a lot of things on social media. And she has a poem called Love is the Answer. And one of her lines, immediately I thought of that when you said that. And she said, we're not here to walk on broken glass. We're here to find love and to celebrate and things. And it's true.
It is.
There's almost like a movement now, isn't there, to seek out joy and seek out love. And there's lovely things on social media about glimmers, looking for moments of, today in North Cumbria, we could look out of the window and be very miserable. Because again, it's about 10 degrees and pouring with rain. But
yay, northern summer.
Yeah, it's looking for the glimmers, isn't it? It's looking for the joy.
Yeah. I say it to my little girls all the time. Find the joy. Yeah, whenever they're like, I don't want to go to school today. I don't want to. I'm like, ugh. Find the joy.
Yeah. Think about the friends you're going to see and the things you're going to learn. I did used to be a primary school teacher.
Oh, I bet you did. Yeah, I could totally see you doing that.
Yeah, I did that.
Well done. I do not have enough patience.
Annabel, you work with people who are doing weddings. You do have enough patience. You definitely do.
Yeah.
Because weddings can get stressful, and it's our job, isn't it, to calm and focus on the joy, isn't it?
Okay, so thanks for the introduction and obviously the passion that you have for your job. Yay!
We all benefit. I do. It's incredible. It feeds the soul.
So I think that the biggest question that I get asked when we're talking about ceremonies is, what is the difference between a church, a registrar and a celebrant? Because each one is obviously a very valid option, but they're all so very different from each other.
Indeed. Well, let's be honest, the most traditional and the one that has been entrenched in our culture forever is a faith-based
Yes.
ceremony, isn't it?
Yeah.
And let's be honest, in the past, people have opted for a faith-based church wedding, not necessarily because they have a strong faith.
Yeah.
It's just because that was the only option, and
Yeah.
that's what you did. And also, our churches are so beautiful. So
Yeah.
you want it to look lovely and what have you. And they were familiar with the elements that were included within that marriage ceremony. And you could come out legally married.
Yes. Yeah.
So if people have a faith or a family history or what have you, then and want to get married in the church that their parents and their grandparents did and what have then that makes sense.
Yeah.
If you live of faith, it makes sense to be married in a church or any other religious building.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to, any other faith building.
Yeah.
And most of us have been to several of those weddings, haven't we, over our lives? So
Yeah.
we know what they're going to include. They're going to have an address by the clergy, whoever that might be. They're
Yeah.
going to have hymns included. There may be, nowadays they're getting a more modern vibe. They might include a reading that is secular and isn't religious.
Yeah. Yeah.
Going to be an address by the faith leader, so people know what to expect, don't they?
Yes.
And then of course they know the lovely part where they disappear off and sign the register,
Yeah.
and that leaves everybody to chat or they listen to music or what have you.
Yeah.
I'm showing my
Often a
age
very
by yeah.
an organ playing.
Yes, or this is me showing my age. I vividly remember Kiri Kanawha singing at Charles and Diana's wedding in St. Paul's Cathedral. But yes, so there's that. And then they know that there's going to be that gorgeous, rousing music for them to come out and confetti and everything else. Like this is lovely. And that absolutely has its place.
And
Yeah.
I absolutely adore the sound of church bells.
Yeah.
I do
Yes.
love that.
Yeah. St. Andrew's in Penrith was practicing yesterday.
Oh, I've been in when they
Yeah.
practiced.
Yeah.
When I was
Yeah.
younger, a teenager, we found my friend knew the door to go up to the bell
Right.
tower, and we just snuck in and said, "Do you
Oh,
mind if we watch?" And they let us.
right.
So we
Oh,
watched the whole. It's got a posh name, hasn't it?
tympanology, isn't it? Tympanology? Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought, one day I should put that. In fact, you know what? From this conversation, I'm going to put that on my life ambitions list.
Yeah. Well,
Ring some
last
bells.
year they actually put a call out for people to go and bell ring for the King's coronation. I remember them putting a call out for Appleby Church for, they were going to do a peal of bells.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's actually a really good workout.
Oh
We
yeah.
digress, but
Yeah.
bell ringing is you've got to be
Yeah.
strong upper body strength, haven't you?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I do love the sound of that. So
And rhythm and timing. You've got to
yeah.
be able to, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Teamwork.
it is. It is. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
So yeah, I think you're
So
right.
that's, yeah.
There is the tradition of a church wedding, whichever type of church that is, or
Yeah.
religious building,
Yes,
and
exactly.
we know the format, and
Yeah.
yeah, but
And there's generally no surprises.
yeah,
But then there's such comfort in the familiar, isn't there?
yeah,
And the tradition. People like that. Yeah.
and a lot of the time that type of tradition is
Mm,
kind of almost forced upon you from family values,
mm.
and the expectations that are put on you.
Absolutely.
That
Absolutely. Yeah.
that's where mum and dad got married,
Yeah.
or that's where
Yeah.
granddad's
Yeah.
buried, or that
Yeah.
can be
It is.
put
Yeah.
onto you as well.
Yeah.
And see, I've noticed that it's every church is different too.
Yeah.
You might not be allowed to get married there if you haven't been to 3 Sundays in 6 months, or if you're
Or
not
yeah.
part of the parish, or
Or been christened, things like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 And then
Yeah.
even having a chat with said vicar or whoever's in charge,
Mm. Mm.
because they'll do a ceremony completely different.
Yes.
There are different rules for the photography or the videos,
Well,
or
yes.
who's
Yes.
giving the
Now
readings, or
that was on the radio a few months ago, wasn't it? Where it was actually, I think it was on Jeremy Vine or something, where wedding photographers had been banned from certain places within the church.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I suppose it's that vicar's building and it's their rules,
Yeah.
really, isn't it? But I think they're a lot more flexible now. I think they can go where they
Well,
want.
I've had one
Yeah.
recently where the photographer for the ceremony, he could only get the back of their heads
Oh,
because he
oh,
wasn't allowed down the front.
their facial expression is so important.
I
Oh, that
know.
is a shame.
It
So definitely
is.
that's something that needs to be on your tick list, doesn't it, to
Yeah.
check out
Yeah.
when you go and ask.
And
Yeah.
this is the thing. This is
Yeah.
this is why it's important to talk about these things, because I don't think people understand that even if you've selected what type of ceremony you want, how many
Yes.
options there are. Even
In
for
it. Yeah.
a church wedding, you'd think would just be a standard format, but it's not. There are still
No,
so many
no.
different
Yes.
avenues to go down, things to consider. There's a lot
And
going on.
yeah, then and you see this is I'll go on to this later on, but with a celebrant-led ceremony and with a registrar ceremony, you know what is going to be said because you
Yeah.
are party to the script. Well, you
Yeah.
work with the couple to create the script. Now, with a church wedding, I know of very recently, and I won't say who, the vicar went off kilter
Ooh, I've
and
been in
started
those as
talking
well.
about things that they really would, people would feel a little bit uncomfortable. And then it was something that was referred to later on in the day, and that's not what should have been referred
Yeah. I've been in
to me.
those ones as well.
And that is
Yeah.
a slight disadvantage. Or whether I don't know, I can't say whether you can ask to see what the vicar's going to say in their
Yeah.
address. I don't know if they allow you to see it, but yeah,
I think
yeah,
that's why it's good to
yeah.
understand and meet and
Yes,
chat with the
yes,
person
yes,
holding it,
absolutely,
so you
definitely.
understand
Yes,
what
yes,
their banter's like.
yes,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
are they very monotone and dry, or are they
Mm,
quite
mm,
witty and fun?
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, understanding and matching it
yeah,
to you
yeah.
guys is important.
It is,
So
absolutely.
yeah, church ceremonies. I think
Yeah,
there's a lot that can be. We could unpick that for flipping
yeah.
ages, couldn't we?
Yeah. But
There's
if you have a strong faith
yeah,
and that will make you feel married, then that's what
yes,
you should do. Yeah.
yes, and
Yeah.
really just make sure that you've investigated what the
Yes,
options are
exactly.
for
Yeah,
whatever
true.
building or
You
whatever
don't want
you're.
any surprises. Yeah.
No, 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 no. We
You
don't like
you
those.
do, not nasty ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's the registrar service.
Yeah, registry service, which I had been recently. I was invited by a couple through my website to go and act as a witness at their registry service at Kendal Registry Office, and I said to them, "Well, you do know you can just go and choose people off the street to act as witnesses," and they said they didn't want to do that because they didn't know who they were going to get and they didn't know that they could guarantee that they would get people. So it was lovely. And I said, well, it's unusual, but of course I'll do it. It's only Kendal. I
Yeah.
said, and actually I was married there myself 26 years ago, so I'd love to go
Ah.
back. I said, and you'll need two witnesses. So would you like my father-in-law to come along? So my 85-year-old father-in-law and I went along to Kendal Registry Office, and I was, we were the witnesses, and the registrars were very generous and very very they explained everything to everybody. They were great, and it really encouraged me, although I didn't know that was going to be part of my role, to take photographs during the ceremony, and I was allowed to go wherever I wanted
Ta-da.
so that I could get facial expression and what have you for the couple. However, it also allowed me to see, because I was behind the registrar, and because there's always two of them, that they are now delivering a more elaborate script.
Yeah.
However, they did have a post-it note with the couple's names written on it.
Yeah.
It's slotted in. And again, it entirely has its place. However,
Yeah.
I didn't feel that there was
You've
the
seen behind the
opportunity for
curtain.
creativity. Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. And
Yeah.
it was lovely, and it worked well, and it was lovely to see Kendal Registry Office, which is a
Yeah.
very beautiful building.
I think, again, it has its place, like you say.
Yes.
And I think they, as a service, especially, here in Cumbria anyway,
Mm.
over the
Yeah.
years that I've been in
Yeah.
the wedding
You'll have
scene,
seen hundreds.
I think there there has become a lot more flexibility. I think as
Hmm.
soon as the rise of celebrants
Yes,
was
indeed.
witnessed,
Yes.
especially through COVID,
Yeah.
I think they had to adapt
Yeah.
and, allowing things like now you can have your own vows, but you
Yeah.
can't do that as well as have readings.
No. Yeah.
And, it is a council service, and you have to remember that. They have to allocate time and people. There are
Yeah.
certain things that you have to allow for.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it's good because, like you say, it gets the legal part done.
Yes.
Tick,
The legal
great.
part is yes.
But with that comes a restriction in flexibility.
Yeah.
So you have saved yourself
Yes.
on a bit of admin,
Yes.
but be prepared that you are limited in your options.
Yes. Because in all fairness, particularly in this area, the Lakes and the Eden Valley and Cumbria, they can be doing several ceremonies a day.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they have to, the timing of moving about this county during the
Oh
summer months,
my
is
God.
is
Well,
quite scary.
I think
Yeah.
even as a tourist, you'd notice
Yeah.
that. Never mind when
Yes.
you actually have to work around
Indeed.
here.
Indeed. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
top tip, don't put
yeah.
your name on your car like I've done because you cannot get road rage. Right, they're going to find me. I'm going to get emails.
Yeah.
You were
No.
right up my bum the other day. I know, but you were
Fair
doing
enough.
20.
Yes, I'm trying to get, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, it's a lot of couples when they first approach me are slightly hung up on the legal aspect.
Yeah.
And I now have got this, I can explain it quite simply in that when a baby's born, you register the birth days or weeks later. When somebody dies, and again, this is part of my job as well, the death is registered after the event,
Yeah.
however long after. And therefore, with your marriage, it's perfectly normal to register it at a different time.
Yeah.
And you can have the cheaper option. I can't say, I don't know how much it is this year, where you have yourself, it's a 2 and 2, it's called yourself and 2 witnesses. You go to your registry service, you have that service, and that's you registering your marriage.
Yeah.
And then the celebrant-led ceremony is that celebration of that marriage on what we
Yeah.
like to say is your wedding day.
Yes.
Is when it's
You see, so I've noticed recently, I had one couple who did it this way round and I really appreciated it. Instead of having the registry service beforehand,
Mm,
they've done it after. And I really like that because I think a lot of people, they're worried that the registry office part is going to feel like the ceremony and then they're like pretending for
yeah,
the wedding
no,
day. Whereas actually flipping it round the other way means you feel like, the first time you walk down, the first time you repeat after me
yeah,
feels like, well, it is the first time. So it feels like the official
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Yes,
really
I
like
had a
that.
couple from last year who got in touch with me 3.5 months after their wedding, and were laughing and giggling that they hadn't done the legal part yet, but they were married. They felt so married, because they hadn't changed any documentation or anything either.
Yeah, yeah,
But they just thought, and I thought, well, that's
yeah,
that makes sense, doesn't it? Because they
yeah,
were married in the well, not legally, but in the eyes of everybody who loved
yeah.
them and who come to celebrate their wedding.
And
So
they're
yeah,
like, oh, right, best do the
yeah,
paperwork
yeah.
then.
You don't have to. You don't. Yeah, it doesn't have to be done
No.
before. Or definitely, I haven't ever been able to do one on the same day.
Oh, see, I
Yet.
have.
I haven't yet.
I even did one years ago
Yeah.
where I think it was a Hindu ceremony.
Oh yes, right.
But so we did the registrars
Yeah.
came beforehand.
Right. Yeah.
Then we did the Hindu ceremony, which was like a 3-hour ceremony
Oh yeah.
after. But you
yeah.
had to make sure that the registrars weren't on site or anything.
No, they
Yeah,
won't even countenance us.
yeah. Well,
A little bit of a chip
one
on
of
the
the
shoulder
big,
about us.
they won't even, I always joke with couples that you can't have any music or readings with any religious content, and whether that's heaven or hell.
Yes,
So
yes,
don't
quite.
bring in,
No,
satanic
no.
death metal into your service
Yeah,
either.
no, no. Yes, there is that.
Yeah. But yeah,
But that, yeah,
again, it's an option. I think a lot of
yes,
people do use it.
absolutely.
It
Yeah,
has become a lot more flexible than it used to be. There are constraints because it is a service. This isn't,
yes,
you know,
yes.
they
Yeah.
have to do that.
But I
But yeah,
think, and it is changing rapidly because they are aware that there is legislation going through for officiants to be the licensed
yeah, that's like in
ones
Scotland, isn't it?
rather than the premises. So they know that in the next couple of years, it will be celebrants will be able to do a legally binding marriage, which exactly 45 minutes up the road for us over the border,
Yeah, that's
they
the way
can do
anyway.
it legally.
It's always
Yes,
it's always boggled me that in England you have to license a premises. Like I look after venues, so I have to go through, kind of jumping through those hoops. And it gets so complicated when you've got premises license, personal licenses, and then you get in a ceremony license. It's
and
so complicated.
yeah, it's
You
unnecessary.
know,
Yeah,
having dedicated rooms, whether you can go outside or not.
yes. And somebody told me you couldn't have the cake in the same room
Ah,
for ceremony.
oh yeah, yeah,
The cake had to be
potentially.
removed on one occasion. I don't know.
Oh,
Each to their own. But I suppose, yes, registrars like clergy have their own
yeah, they've
um,
got to follow. They've
ways
got
of
to
doing
stick to
things,
it.
as we
Yeah,
all do. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. But
And
yeah,
I'm blessed. I think in Cumbria, I have the blessing of working with some really lovely registrars as well.
yeah, and yes, yeah,
You know, they
absolutely.
are, yeah, they're really nice. And I can,
They're motivated in the same way as we are
yeah,
to be part of a couple's special day. And what could be better? It's just,
yeah,
celebrating love. Come on.
yeah,
It's good.
yay. Okay, and then obviously
Woohoo.
there's you guys
Yes, indeed.
and
Yes,
what
indeed.
you do. And
Yes.
every time I talk to anybody about getting a celebrant, I
Mhm.
kind of explain it that this is somebody who you choose because their personality suits the style that you
Yes,
want,
exactly.
and it's a tailor made service for you.
Totally. Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Before I begin, then I'll explain that there are two sorts of celebrants as well.
Mm-hmm.
There is the humanist celebrant who has trained through the Humanist Society, and they will not include any form of religion or
Yes.
spirituality in their ceremony
Yeah.
because that will suit a lot of people. And then there's celebrants like myself who we are described as independent celebrants, and we will include whatever people want. So if they
Yeah.
want, I had a ceremony in May where they had we sang 3 hymns, but we sang them as songs accompanied by a string quartet. Um,
Nice.
and they had obviously they were religious based. They were hymns, but we sang them as songs. Um, so we can include whatever they want as long as it's legal,
Yes.
obviously. Yeah.
Yes.
So which just gives you the widest scope to have your wedding where the heck you want,
Yeah.
when you want, because that's another thing. We can be entirely flexible on time because
Yeah.
I don't know any celebrants that have more than one wedding ceremony a day.
Yeah.
So if timings are going a bit awry, so be it.
Yeah.
We're utterly flexible and we're there for them, and we'll just do it whenever. If somebody hasn't arrived, if a guest hasn't arrived and we have to move everything on or, half an hour or whatever, we have no time
Yeah. And I
constraint.
tell you what,
Just whatever.
as
Yeah,
a coordinator myself,
yeah,
I
yeah.
fully appreciate that flexibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I like to stick to a plan, of course.
Yes.
I do
Yeah.
like a plan. And
Yes.
there is always bigger repercussions than
Yeah.
people imagine if things do run late.
Yes.
But having, that reduced pressure
Yeah.
on, around a ceremony, people are already feeling so tense
Yes,
because
indeed. Indeed.
there is a lot going on emotionally,
Yeah.
physically, everything.
Yeah.
So having that set schedule
I
and,
know. Yeah.
often the inflexibility around it. Ugh,
Yeah. No, a word I often utter on a wedding day is if the groomsman or somebody comes up to me, and they've got to say so and so hasn't arrived yet, the taxi, this, that, and the other, and I just say whatever, whatever, and I shrug my shoulders and pat them or whatever and try and calm them down. It's fine. It'll all be fine,
yeah,
and it's just having that much more relaxed vibe.
yeah. I must admit, though, I don't like it when people say, "Oh, it's good to be fashionably late," or "a bride should." I'm like,
Mm,
"Oh, don't say that to
no,
me. I
no.
am a planner."
No, these are generally guests that haven't got to where we were going. No, I've noticed brides don't do late anymore.
I don't like it.
The ceremony starts when the ceremony starts. From
Yeah,
the
don't do
bride
it
point
on
of view, I've noticed.
don't do it on
No,
purpose.
no,
It's
no.
weird.
Oh no, no, court,
No,
no,
I
no,
don't like
that's
that.
not fair. No.
Um,
So,
well,
so a celebrant,
yeah.
you,
There's a
yeah.
humanist side.
It's the humanist side, which is they won't include any religion or any
Yeah,
faith-based thing at all, and an independent who will include whatever you so choose. And in
but
some ways,
you
when
can give
yeah,
guidance on that bit though, can't you?
absolutely,
Because
because you
there's a
don't want to
lot of
be
option there.
exactly, you don't want it to be too, it's like when you've got too much choice in the supermarket, you can't make a decision, can you?
Yeah, yeah,
So we're there to guide.
yeah,
And generally we are found in the most modern of ways. People Google celebrants in whatever county they're in,
yeah,
and then we generally come up or what have you. And then I mean it's amazing, really, isn't it, that they can get an impression of you from your website, from your social media, from your
yeah, yeah,
reviews
yeah,
before they even approach you. So by the time I receive an email, they are telling me that they like my vibe, they like
yeah,
what they see.
yeah,
So we know we've got a good foundation to build from.
yeah. I like that
Um,
too. A
and then,
personal
yeah,
approach.
it is. It's very personal. And then, I mean, you'll know this as well, that most of our weddings in Cumbria are from people from away.
Yeah,
Real
definitely.
destination place, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because we are blessed with the most incredible venues, aren't we?
yeah, yeah.
Not the weather necessarily,
Oh, I know.
definitely the venues and the staff and the creatives and the suppliers. I mean, just
Yeah,
amazingly talented people doing their thing to make your day as
yeah.
gorgeous as possible. It's amazing.
And
Um, yeah, it's great.
why do you think, like, there's a lot of people who almost disregard the ceremony. It's well, I don't like being centre of attention. I don't want it to last too long.
Mm,
We just want to get on with
mm,
the
yeah,
celebrating
yeah,
part.
yeah,
So some people will opt to have the shortest ceremony.
yes,
And,
yeah,
like I always say, there is no wrong way to wedding.
no,
But
no,
I think that you missing a trick if you try
yeah,
to rush through a
yeah,
ceremony.
right,
I
yeah,
always joke that I don't know what I promised in my ceremony when I got
yeah,
married. He
yeah.
could have thrown anything in there. I could have sworn away all kinds
Yeah,
because I think I got so nervous and it was so kind of intense
yeah.
that I don't really remember a lot of it.
Well, Annabel, had you had a celebrant-led ceremony,
I know,
you would have
right?
your script to refer back to, and you would know exactly what you promised
Yeah,
him. Because
yeah,
we once we've met with the couple, be it in real life meet them for coffee, I often use our lovely Westmoreland services.
Yeah.
If they're from down Manchester or whatever way, or up at, Penrith, we've got lots of lovely places, haven't we? Or more and more, I meet people initially by Zoom.
Yeah. I live my life on
From
these.
abroad, obviously. And you have a good chat about, because they as they will to you, Annabel, they come to you not really knowing what the heck they want. They've got
No.
an idea, but that's why they come to you for your expertise.
Yeah.
It's then for me to, they may have heard of a celebrant-led ceremony. They may even have been to one, but just because they've been to one doesn't mean that theirs is going to be like that, because
No.
that is the
And you
USP.
need to guide them down and
Yeah,
go,
you need
right.
to guide them. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like, yeah, it's
yeah, to
definitely,
what it can include. Yeah.
yeah.
And
And
I think, yeah, our thing is that we tell their love story.
yeah.
And they just, I mean, I haven't had a couple yet who have really edited their love story. They want everyone to know how they met and
Yeah.
why they get on and what their dreams are for their marriage and everything. And it's
Yeah.
beautiful. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
No,
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah.
What are nice things, do you think, to include in the ceremony?
Right. Well, I really encourage my couples to include other people,
Yeah.
because there is the scope for any friend or family to use their skills or be included in any way.
Yeah.
So we've had people doing readings and poems. We've had people music play songs. So
Yeah.
including others
Singers.
in it,
Yeah.
bringing those that you love most dearly into your ceremony
You know,
again makes it very memorable.
I joke with is this is a reading or something like that
Mm,
is a really good way to include people who haven't made the cut for the bridal
yes,
team.
yes,
You
yes,
know,
absolutely.
where so I think for my wedding, I could have easily had like 10 bridesmaids or something ridiculous. So I didn't. And I got three friends to read a reading together.
Lovely.
And it was my way of going, I want you included, you know.
Exactly.
So a lot of the
Exactly.
time I'll see, somebody's favourite uncle or grandma's got involved or
Yes.
father of the groom,
Yeah.
because that side often
Absolutely.
gets kind
Yeah.
of not that
Yeah.
involved. So I think it's a really nice excuse to go, no,
It's,
look,
it
I do
is.
value you.
Yes.
Please
Yes.
be a part of this. But matching it. So when it comes to readings, here's one of the spiels. You're going to hear a bit of my spiel. And
Go on then.
my clients listen to this or know this spiel already. For me, readings sit on a spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
So you have at one end is I choose you, and I want
Mm-hmm.
you to read this and you to read this.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the other end, it is, would anybody like to do a reading? And I don't care what you want to
Yeah.
read.
Yeah.
And I say, don't ever think that you should definitely pick one or the other.
Yes.
You can go
Yeah.
anywhere in that.
In
You could
between. Yeah.
go, right, I'm going to pick Uncle Bob,
Mm.
but he's quite witty. So, Uncle Bob, can you pick something that's quite
Yeah.
fun?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, you
Yeah.
can be as flexible as you like in that. And
Yeah.
yeah, don't feel like
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
is a strict rule behind it.
Exactly. Yeah. So I have a massive bank of readings and poems and suggestions that I can
Yeah, I bet you
send,
do.
because they often don't know where to start. So they give me who it is who might be saying it and the vibe they want, and then I send them loads of ideas and they edit it
Nice.
down from there. Well, actually, I don't send them loads. I generally send four. Because you can be
Nice.
overwhelmed with too many, can't you? So that is as a key thing, is that you can include other people if you want to.
Yes.
Another lovely thing about a celebrant-led ceremony, above and beyond the fact that we tell your love story, and we do include the traditional elements that you would expect to hear, like the vow exchange,
Yeah.
is really important. And
The rings.
I generally have written the vows from the information that the couples have given me. And if either
Yeah.
they go with what I've written because they generally like it, or they use it as a scaffold for what they're going to say.
Yeah.
And then we have the ring exchange,
Yeah.
where you're bringing in, more often than not, you'll notice this, there's best persons or best
Yeah.
more than one, aren't there?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that they can get included as well, which is lovely. And then in a celebrant-led ceremony, again, these things are almost becoming a tradition. There are symbolic acts.
Yeah.
Are
Now,
things that
these
you can
things
do. Yes,
fascinate me because
yes.
there are lots of different types,
Well,
isn't there?
at one point they were called rituals, but I feel, and you mentioned it first, they have a bit of a satanic thing about rituals, don't they? So there's none of that, thank you.
It's
I
pagan
like to call them
worships and
symbolic act, symbolic act.
yeah.
So again, and I'll refer because we're mentioning about bringing other people in, hand tying,
Yeah, I
which
see this a
is,
lot.
yes, now hand fasting and hand tying are actually, hand fasting can be a ceremony in itself, and it's of Celtic origin. Hand tying is when you have it within a wedding ceremony. So,
Okay.
and that is again a lovely way of bringing in other people. And I can just refer to ones I've done. When there's been a family member who's passed away,
Yeah.
I've had a couple where the mum has passed away and they've used a scarf that belonged
Uh,
to the mum, and that brought her into the day, which was
oh, that's
was
so
deeply
adorable.
emotional, but it was lovely. She was
Yeah.
included. So what happens is it's usually after the love story, the vows, the ring exchange, couples join hands, and now there are multiple ways of doing this.
Oh, yes, I bet.
And this, this is something that I rehearse with my couples. But a typical one is they join left to left, and they know which is their left by then because they've got a ring on it. Right to right, and they form a symbol of infinity.
Uh,
Then the cord or the tie or the ribbon or whatever it is can be brought by other people or myself, and it's draped over their joined hands. So we've had, and this is Cumbria, we've had walking bootlaces
of
draped
course.
over. We've had
Of course.
nautical ropes next to Windermere, which were lovely. We've had baling twine for the family. We've had ties. We've had coloured ribbons is lovely. Different coloured satin ribbons that are symbolic in their colour.
Yeah,
It's
nice.
lovely. So if you have a few ribbons, different friends bringing,
Yeah.
brought one that resembled their school house, another a football team, green for nature and things like that. And then these are draped over the hands, and then the celebrant ties them and says hand tying blessing words about the significance of their hands
Ah.
throughout their marriage. So
What's
that's becoming very popular. It's
what's the
lovely.
thing about the broom?
Well, now that's called the Druid's Bazoom.
This fascinates me.
And again,
I think maybe I've had one with it, but a lot of the
yeah.
time I'm not around then because I'm getting
Yeah,
ready for the
that
next part of
again
the
is
day.
it's got ancient history to it, and it's literally jumping from your old life over into your new life, and it makes a great photo.
Oh, bet it does.
So, and often the broom, I've got my own broom. People do wonder when they come to my house and see a broom. I'm not a witch. And it can be decorated with flowers and ribbons and lovely things. And then the celebrant holds it low because quite often there's a lovely long dress involved. And
Yeah.
then the couple join hands and they jump over it into their new life together. And that comes just right at the very end of the ceremony.
Oh, I like that.
Lovely. It's lovely. It's beautiful.
I
Yeah.
think that
Yeah.
this is the nice thing about it is I think if you're heading into the mindset of this,
Yeah.
I think knowing that there are so many options and
So
I'm
many
conscious we
options.
could talk
Yeah.
for hours about all
Good.
these
We
fascinating
could.
things,
We could.
but I love the fact that having the chat, you don't need to go into the chat and know exactly what you want,
No,
but to
no.
describe what means, what things are priorities, what
Yes.
people are priorities,
Yeah.
what do you really want to emphasize in the ceremony, and then going backwards from that and going, right, well, to show this you could have this.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's such a lovely way of
Yeah.
approaching it rather
Yeah.
than feeling like you just have to go along with a
Yeah.
traditional route or
No.
a set
Yeah.
format. I
Hmm.
think that I really I appreciate that. So the giddiest you'll ever see me at a wedding
Yeah.
is just before a ceremony.
Mm.
I explain to the brides in advance, you're going to see me go a bit weird. I'm like a giddy little kid because I know
Yeah.
how much they're then going to love. I know how nervous they are
Yeah.
before they
Yeah.
go in, but how much they're going to flipping love it. And the
Yeah.
day is going to go so fast from that point.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, to be honest, I always warn
Yeah.
them that if they're looking like they're looking too nervous, I'm like, I'll tell a really rude joke, or
Mm-hmm.
I'll do a
To
weird little
relax them. Yeah.
dance,
Yeah.
or,
Yeah.
I'll do
Yeah.
something a
Yeah.
bit odd to
Yeah.
just bring
Yeah.
them out of their
Yes.
headspace and back in the
Yeah.
room,
I mean, obviously, being a celebrant, I'm going to say it, but I think the fact that they are being married by a familiar face,
Yes.
they know me beforehand.
Yeah.
They know, and often they feel like they're being married by a friend, and so that relaxes them.
Yeah.
And then the ceremony is so entirely about them and their love and the investment they're making in their love. And it's literally, as I say, jumping over into the new life. It's it's a springboard for
Yeah.
their life together. And it's a real celebration. And afterwards, family and friends always comment on how different it was because it was all about them.
Yeah. And
You
I
know,
think
and yeah, it's
they're
just,
going to look forward to it, aren't they? Because
yeah,
they want to hear that being told. They want to see the reactions from their family and friends.
reactions. Yeah, yeah,
That I think building up not just the nerves, but the
yeah.
excitement behind it
Yes, yeah,
is so important that
yes.
they're going to relish it. It's not just something to just get
That's a
through.
lovely thing about reactions is that I know and they know what's going to be said because we have agreed the script beforehand. There's no nasty surprises, there's no silly surprises. They know what's coming, but they haven't actually thought about it for a week or so in advance because they've been so busy with everything
Yeah,
else.
yeah,
So on the day the script and the ceremony is still fresh, but I love watching them watching their family and
yeah,
friends
yeah,
because they know what's being said about their love story and
yeah,
everything. And then that's when you get these gorgeous, I mean, the whole lovely candid photograph thing now is just
yeah, yeah.
amazing, isn't it?
I tell you,
It's just
I had
gorgeous.
a really good one recently where they actually picked a friend of theirs to do the ceremony, but
Right.
didn't tell anybody that that person was
Uh,
going to do it.
yeah,
And bless her, the gumption to stand up. So she sat down with
yeah,
all the guests,
yeah,
and everybody's getting ready, and then all of a sudden she stood up
yeah.
and grabbed a folder, and everybody's going, "What are you doing? What are you
Wow.
doing? Sit down. What are you
Yeah.
doing?" And
Wow. Wow.
like I was in the obviously the next room with the
Yeah.
brides, and the laughter that poured out of the
Yeah.
room when they realised
Yeah.
she's like,
What she was doing.
"No,
Yeah.
I'm actually going to do this." They're like,
Yeah.
"What?
Brilliant.
What's going
Yeah.
on?"
Yeah.
So yeah, those this I find the ceremony. Don't overlook the options. Don't underestimate its impact on the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's so wonderful that you have the flexibility of the style that you would like, the location that you'd like. There are so many options out there, but being really mindful of the style that you want, of what
Yeah.
can be included, what is important, what are your
Yeah.
priorities from this ceremony.
Yeah.
Make
Hmm.
the most of it. Make
Yes.
the ceremony as important as the rest of it,
Yeah.
because when you look back, when you have those moments,
Yeah.
I think you'll underestimate how much you want to remember that.
Yeah.
When the
Yeah.
partying's done,
Yes.
the
Absolutely.
food's been eaten, the fizz has been drunk, all of that, you
Yeah.
will get to a stage in your life where actually you want to remember
Well,
that bit.
this is a lovely thing as well as I would say every celebrant gives you a presentation copy of your ceremony script.
Yeah,
With your vows and everything included. And many of my couples say, "Oh, we're going to read it every anniversary." They do
yeah,
or not. When real life takes over, I don't know. But they've got that. And also it would help them to reaffirm why they chose to be married to each
yeah,
other.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
lovely.
I think it's lovely.
Yeah, it is.
Have you have you ever seen many things go wrong?
Ah, No, I haven't. I've only had also one occasion where I wasn't fully aware of what was going to happen when it was last year, and we were sharing the quaich, which is a Scottish two-handled love cup. And at the end of your ceremony, to toast your union, you can fill the cup with the tipple of your choice, and you
Yeah.
hold it one hand on each, and you share a drink. And I usually know what's in it. So there's been flavored gins, Guinness, whiskey, other whatever. Again, Guinness, well, gin has been very popular. And then last year, the groom was a bit of a joker, and he said, "I'm not telling you, I'm not telling you what's going in it." I said, "I really
Uh-oh.
would like to know because it's given to me in a jug by the hotel or whatever staff, venue staff." I said, "I really would rather know." He said, "No, I'm not telling you." I went, "Right, okay then." So at that moment, I said the spiel about what the significance of the quake, and the waiter with a smirk on his face hands me this jug, and I look into it and I go, "Alcohol? Well, that's a very unusual choice." And the young groom and his friends in hysterics. It was something called Tequila Rose.
Oh, yes.
Tequila
Nice.
looks like oh.
It does.
So they thought that was hysterically funny. Anyway, and they both enjoyed it and it was lovely. So
It's
that's
really
the only
nice.
yeah.
If you ever want to try it, it tastes like strawberries and cream.
Yeah, or Calpol. I don't know. Yeah, no. So yes, no, touch wood.
Yeah.
Never had anything go wrong. And
I
I've
think,
been in some different kind of venues. I had one on the shore of Loweswater earlier in the year, literally
oh,
on the shore. Could have been
nice.
howling gale, could have been hideous. Happened to be one of the only gorgeous days we got in May.
Yeah.
Um,
I've been at one at
and
the shore
yeah,
of Buttermere,
yeah,
and it was dry but
yeah,
super windy. Couldn't have up
right,
the
yeah,
beautiful arch because it just kept
right,
collapsing,
right,
but
yeah.
it was still really nice.
No, and that's the thing. It's your day. It's
Yeah.
going to be beautiful and it is going to be memorable and it is going to be
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
and you would cope with anything that we anything could happen, couldn't it?
Yeah.
And you'll
Yeah.
cope and you'll manage and it would just be lovely because it's your day.
Yeah. It's exciting.
Exciting.
I think the only things that I ever really see people get a bit flummoxed by is when it's little things like I'm all about the logistics and making
Yeah,
it
yeah.
flow beautifully,
Yes, yes.
and it's knowing what order you're walking down, or
Yeah,
are the people giving readings sat at the end of the aisle.
yes.
If dad's walking bride down the
Yeah.
aisle,
Yeah.
does he know what he's doing at the end?
When he gets at the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's something that you and I, because I arrived, an hour or so beforehand, we will have sorted that all out
Yeah. Yeah.
for that. But as I was mentioned previously, I also instruct
Yeah.
in a lovely way. I say, will you now come and stand here, or will you come? Because you don't necessarily remember, do you,
No,
in the
but
moment?
also a
Yeah.
lot of people are very kind of they're nervous
Yeah,
and
very nervous. Yeah.
excited, and there's a lot of things going on for them. So you kind of forget yourself, really.
And when I
So
arrive, and I usually find the best persons first, and they always get a bit hot under the collar, and they go, "And when do I do that? And when do I do that?" And every so often they come and do double check with you, and I say, "Don't worry, because I'll look at you and I'll ask you to come and stand."
yeah,
And I said, "So don't worry about it." Yeah,
yeah. Don't worry, we've got
no,
you. We've
yeah,
got you.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Well,
no, it's
thanks
grand.
so much, Julia.
Oh, it's
Thanks
been
for
lovely.
spending the time to chat with me,
Yeah.
for bearing through any technical issues, for
Hey, as you've proved, Annabel, you can cope with anything.
oh yeah, bring it
There you are,
on.
see, there you see. Yes, well, chatting and being a celebrant are two of my favourite things, so it hasn't been a chore.
Yay! Well, me
Sorry.
neither.
Yeah,
What a way to spend a rainy
yeah,
morning.
yes,
Um,
yeah.
and I hope. Well, I know that I'm going to bump into you somewhere soon. I can't remember
You
where,
are.
but
End of July. Yeah,
I always look forward to it.
lovely.
And
Yeah,
thank you so much again. I'll
lovely.
make sure that all of your details are put at the on the blurb for the episode.
Real.
So I hope people go and find you, or they just investigate these
Yes,
options.
yes,
Like I
indeed.
say, there's no wrong way to wedding.
Options.
Just find
No,
the right
no,
choices for you.
no,
That's what we
no.
want.
Well,
All right, lovely. Thank you
lovely.
so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you.
If you would like some further advice or help, or more information on Weddings by Annabel, or would like to be involved in the podcast, then email us via the website weddingsbyannabel.co.uk or find us on Instagram, Facebook or LinkedIn. Okay, bye.